sergi alanlarındaki görüşmeler ve paylaşımlar devam ederken, öte yandan bizim çok önem verdiğimiz ve bugün işin ikinci boyutu ya da
I'd like to welcome you to our
nitelendirdiğim sunular bölümünde
gathering where we're going to be focusing on presentations while the business contacts are ongoing on the fair exhibition avenue. Now we're going to be talking about the Kompozit 2013 presentations. Now when we're talking about enforced composite, we're mainly talking about the enforced composite. Well, in terms of Turkish, there have been many alternatives to this terminology. However, I believe there is no correspondence in Turkish for composite. So I keep on using this word as composite in Turkish as well. So the composites are the polymeric composites, the enforced ones. These provide us modern and contemporary solutions in all parts of our lives, and you see the examples already within the avenue for exhibition. In automobile industry, in infrastructure and superstructure of the cities, in maritime business or aviation, we see this being used as a multidimensional product. Now, to see the industries, as you can see from the flight, it is available almost in all of the sectors. The composite has inputs in almost every sector. The industry is growing by taking a share from the replacement materials as well. These are the general averages. Time to time, even though there is an impact because of the fluctuations, and even though there are increases and decreases, with 10 years of intervals, this growth keep on increasing. The growth is around 3.7% on an annual basis throughout the world. The growth rate in the developed countries is almost 1 to 1.5%, whereas in the developing countries such as ours, it's around 8 to 10% or 12%, or even like countries like like India or China, it's around 18%. In the coming years, the growth will be expected to be around 3.5 to 4% again. I say again because of the past heavy economic crisis, there has been a slight decrease. The industry in Turkey, looking at the growth of the composite sector in Turkey, we see that it has a growth over the growth ratios in Europe and other parts of the world. The growth rate, which was around 8 to 12% in the past, has managed to reach to 9 to 10% based on the economic stability we've passed through in the recent years. Speaking about the growth of the industry, these are the figures. We have the representatives from Europe and Germany, and we're going to share their numbers as well. The thermosites, these are the thermosite composites, and the figures are enforced thermoplastics. In the world, as of 2013, 8 million tons of composite growth has been seen. This figure is almost equal to 60 billion euros. Per kilogram, it's around 7.5 euro of a value, as an average, of course. In Europe, as of 2012, it was around 2 million tons, and in Turkey, 2012, it was 218,000 tons. Looking at the share and distribution of the composite market, Asia Pacific has the largest share by 35%. America, especially Northern America, comes at the second rank with 35%, and Europe is 22%, whereas the other countries have a share of 6%. Well, of course, the value is not the same like the figures. Asia Pacific with 37% in terms of value cannot reach to this value. The production of America and Europe, the value added average is higher. Now, we're going to be talking about these figures in detail, so I don't want to go into details right now. Looking at the sectoral distribution in the world, based on industries, construction industry is around 24.5%, which makes it the largest sector. It's followed by transportation by 21%, electronics with 19%, and the wind energy is 7%, maritime 4%, aviation 0.5%. So the smallest share belongs to aviation, however, has the highest value using the most expensive materials. Looking at the sectoral distribution in Europe, well, transportation has a share of 30%, and it's followed by construction, electricity and electronics by 14%, and in total, as you see, wind energy is around 12%. Speaking about the composite industry in Turkey, as I said at the beginning, earlier in the morning, it's more like a medium or a large-scale enterprises of 150 or 200 companies. These are the companies that are earning their lives from composite production. Otherwise, we can talk about 700 or 800 companies that are working partially with composite. Well, of course, this includes the companies that are producing for aviation industry as well. There are almost 5,000 workers, 218,000 tons of total production, and 1.1 billion Turkish liras of it produced total value. So we are a little bit below the average of the world. Speaking about the processes in Turkey, they have an interesting distribution in Turkey, quite the opposite of the distribution in the world. As a process, filament winding and centrifugal casting, infrastructure pipe practice is around 47%, and as a process, and I think it's around 54% in tonnage. So almost 50% of our industry comes from GTP pipe. That's why we have put the pipe in front of the entrance, because it is compromising almost 57% of the whole industry. And then we have RTM. The engineered plastics has around 36% of a share in the world. However, it's only 15% in Turkey. Continuous sheet, together with other sheets and panel practices, it's around 7%. SMC and BMC 6%, and pultrusion is 2%. Speaking about the same distribution based on tons, the tank and the pipes is around 52% of a share. So we see a growth in this industry. Construction is 18%, transportation is 17%, and the others still are remaining to be very low in terms of share. So you see a comparative approach to the distribution based on industry in the world and Turkey. The average price comparison. As I said, in aviation, the average price is 35, but it is around 2.5 euros for the pipes and tanks and infrastructure. Therefore, we're mainly operating in the cheaper side of this business. That's why we're not able to reach to the average of the world yet. Therefore, our future efforts is going to be focusing on this high added value segment of the industry. Consumption amount per capita is also considered to be a development criteria in the world based on different factors. It's around 10 kilograms per capita. I mean the construction per capita. It's only 2.8 kilograms per capita in Turkey. In the United States, Japan, Germany, Austria, and in other countries, as you can see, the consumption is very high. However, Turkey has not been yet able to reach these figures. This is an opportunity. I think these are one of the fundamental opportunities available for Turkey. Firstly, GDP amount is low in Turkey. We can increase this and get closer to the average in the world. And as for the second one, the average GDP price is low, and we can make it close to the price in the world. So these two are very important windows of opportunities. Now let's talk about leading sectors. Firstly, the infrastructure is one of the most important industries, and it maintains to be the leading sector as well. The composite materials, because of their lightweight and smooth surface, are still going to be preferred to be used in the automobile construction industry, and because of durability and because of the renewable features, it is going to be preferred to be used in the renewable energy industry, and in greenhousing, aviation, as well as infrastructure is going to be one of the indispensable materials. Each and every sector has its own expectations from this composite material. The automobile industry is looking for lightening the weight of the automobile, lower cost, higher production ratio, reduced weight, new design expectations, and also looking for A-class surface expectations. Maritime industry, corrosion resistance, lightness, smooth surface. Civil aviation, low cost, durability, strength, and industry lightness, high performance, and increased comfort. And the wind, low cost, and durability are the expectations based on these industries. Therefore, in the future, composite is going to be one of the most important industries, and these are the ones that can be touched upon. The carbon is, as you know, one of the most important enforcement. Carbon fiber is one of the most important enforcement materials. In addition to glass fiber, there is the carbon fiber available in our country. This is an advantage of having a local raw material. This is mainly used for electronic plastics, for pressurized cups, and for enforcement of the buildings or maritime and petrol platforms. And it is used in different types in this area. For building enforcement, this is one of the most important areas of use for this type of product. In Istanbul, which is expecting a very strong earthquake, therefore this material stays to be the most important material for enforcement purposes. Well, of course, the composite implementation in Turkey, we definitely have to talk about the pipe implementations as well, the tepe pipe. Increasing global warming brings scarcity in water. Therefore, both in Middle East and in Turkey, irrigation investments started to increase. As you know, lakes and rivers or Sapanca Lake to Istanbul have been connected to the water networks. Therefore, a variety of water sources will be linked to different types of availability infrastructures. Therefore, CTPs, especially in China, India, Middle East, Northern Africa, and Turkey, the use of these have been gradually increasing. Up until 2015, it's expected to see an 8% of a growth in these markets, and CTP, in fact, is going to be one of the increasing segments of this industry. In Turkey, as you have seen, CTP pipes are produced up until 4 meters of a diameter in Turkey. And even in the areas where there is no proper road, we see the implementation of CTPs. Speaking about automotive and transportation industry, this is one of the rapidly growing sectors in Turkey. For reducing carbon emissions become one of the priorities of the automobile industry. The main purpose for this reason is to lighten the weight of the automobiles. Therefore, even a reduction of a kilogram requires a lot of cost, and we know that sometimes the automobile industry makes such investments. 10% of a decrease in the weight of a automobile provides a savings of the fuel of 5 to 10%, so reduces a large amount of carbon emissions as well. Therefore, to lighten the weight of the automobiles industry and to lower the cost and to use composite material for fuel saving is one of the strategic plan of most of the companies. Global production goes from north to south and from west to east. Therefore, this is another opportunity for Turkey. Greenhousing implementations. Especially in the recent times, the greenhousing activity has grown all around the world. Therefore, by the abolishment of the barriers of the modern greenhousing investments in Turkey and the incentives in Turkey, encourage the producers in this area. The producers in this industry are looking for more modern, more durable, and more resistant, low-cost implementations. For this reason, CTP greenhouse implementation is becoming more common all around the world, like in our country. These are the basic features of CTP greenhousing. These are the features of the composite materials as well. Another industry is the wind energy. In the 21st century, because of the increasing of the absence of fossil fuels and petrol resources, required the large industries to focus on renewable and green energy resources. Therefore, the renewable energy includes the solar energy as well as wind energy. All of these energy types that I've described, in terms of cost, have to be accessible. Therefore, when they're accessible, we're going to be able to pave a great ground. In fact, I've checked out some of the steps taken in thermal energy. With the reduction of the petrol derivatives and with the betterment of the technology, I think it's going to be even cheaper. And wind technology is therefore going to be a good example. The wind energy has a very big share out of all of these types of renewable energies. And Turkey is also one of those countries which is making a lot of investments in this area. The basic elements are the engine and the turbinal wings. These require to be produced by the composite, and the epoxy that's been influenced by the environmental effects to the lowest degree is used as matrix. So it is carbon aramide and glass fiber, and especially glass fiber, because of its performance and pricing advantage, is very much preferred. However, parallel to the increase of the capacities of the turbines, the largeness, the size of the wings is going to be increased, and therefore there is going to be a need for an enforcement where there is going to be the use of the fibers. For the panels of the wind energy, I don't have too much to say, because as you know, our country is a heaven for this reason. There is a expectation of a serious increase in terms of the production of these products in Turkey as well. The construction, well, even though it's not yet very much in use, not in the main frame, however, in facades or in coating areas, as you're going to see in our innovative product contest, you're going to be able to see the production and implementation of these products, especially for the hospital construction and for electronical and technological constructions. Composite materials most probably are going to be preferred in the near future. enforcement of the buildings, especially is required for the countries that are located on an earthquake zone. In the design phase, new buildings or the existing buildings against earthquake risk, bridges, tunnels, airports, hospitals, or the historical monuments being strengthened in this regard. And for this purpose, different weaving and technical textiles that are produced from glass fiber or carbon fiber are used on a common basis. Windows and gates, doors, it's a specific type of a practice. This is the first type of composite without any mechanic links, and there are some companies working in this area in Turkey as well. By their production, I think this industry is going to be also growing. PPRC heating pipes, polypropylene, and these are used in the boilers. And in terms of the pipe request for heating, I think there has already been a high demand for these kinds of products. Well, it's not very common yet in Europe, but in Turkey, there are a high capacity of the companies working in Turkey, and we see that it's growing day by day. And this is one of the growing sectors as well. Talking about the engineering plastics, the main material is plastics. Polyester is the material, and as you know, the enforcement materials. Composite products are thermosets or thermoplastics. Thermoset and thermoplastic distinction all in the world. Thermoplastic 36 has a share of 36%. The other one has a share of 64% of a share. So this share in our country is as 85 to 15. Therefore, the resins, for the favor of the resins, especially in the composite business, thermoplastic is going to be growing in the near future. This is my, of course, personal expectation. Because the thermoplastic resins, especially when enforced with fiber, has unique characteristics. The designers, in order to increase the performance of the product and in order to reduce the costs, start to focus more on the characteristics of composites more. Thermoplastic resins structurally are very solid, and they are extraordinarily resistant against the strikes. And they reach to a certain level of hardness after being cooled. And another important characteristic is that they are renewable, especially in the automobile industry. Therefore, the thermoplastic practices is increasing very gradually. I think it's going to be mentioned as in the coming sessions. We're going to be talking about long fiber thermoplastics as well. Aviation is a very, maritime. It's also a very dynamic sector in Europe, and especially the European people try to postpone buying automobiles to the next year, but focusing on maritime more at the moment. And especially the boat producers in Turkey make partnerships with European companies and becoming leaders of the industry in Europe as well. So the number of the boat production is increasing day by day. These are usually the long boats, more than 30 meters. And in our exhibition, in the most innovative product, you're going to be able to see the model of such a boat, and this is in line with the example that I've described. This development is also bringing a dynamism to Turkey as well. Now, dear composite producers, this is all I would like to share about Turkey with you. If you have any questions, I'll be very pleased to answer your questions as much as I can, of course. Thank you very much for your attention. Yes, please. I'm an associate professor doctor from Uşak University. My question is as follows. Speaking about the general terms, it's obvious that Turkey is enthusiastic to become one of the major companies in this production in the world. However, most of our production seems to be supported by imports. Now, to what point we can go on up until this way? If you don't have any patented products, how much production can you provide to the other parts of the world. Why do we think about Swedish steel when we speak about steel, for instance, production in terms of production? Now, I'd like to know whether your association cooperates with the universities in this regard for producing some patents. Well, our industry in terms of raw material is of course reliable on imports. However, the polyester resin raw material, in fact, is not available in Turkey, and unfortunately, the same applies to the plastics as well. These are all imported materials. However, we have the enforcement material. It's the glass fiber and carbon fiber. So these imported resins and their transferring technologies are available in Turkey as well. For instance, composite and mini raster resins are all available in Turkey. And resin producers, for instance, in Russia or in Italy, started to go for production. Therefore, these are all very important for us. We have all the necessary ingredients, but we have to make sure that we're going to reach to the final product. So what you have mentioned is quite important. In terms of raw material, well, the chemicals and the chemical industry is in fact reliable on imports. And therefore, the plastics producers are very much focused on this issue, and they're trying to focus on lobbying activities in order to encourage people to get involved in these sectors and to overcome these barriers. Petchem is a leading producer in Turkey. However, they can meet only a small part of the required plastics in Turkey. So the input strategy of the state is under the decision-making process of the input supply planning program, and together with the Plastics Association, our association provided its opinion so that the state can give a priority to these materials as well. Hopefully, in the long term, we're not going to be reliable on imports anymore. However, still there are some countries which are deprived all of these possibilities at all. However, still they are trying to improve their fundamental chemical industries, and they manage to overcome this problem. And I think we have to do the same thing for the patented products. You're absolutely right. Patent and certification is some kind of a protective method as well. For aviation, when you produce a product for Boeing or Airbus, in order to get it put in the portfolio, you need 7 years for certification process. If you start today, it will require 7 days to be a part of their portfolio. The same was applied to the wind energy industry as well. Well, I don't want to name anyone here, but still, multi-axial producing composite producers started working on it, and they managed to get this certification, especially with the raw material produced by the local producers. For instance, if you go around the exhibition hall, you're going to be able to see these products. So for these certificates, you have to work hard, and the certification process to be shortened, as I said, the platforms, lobbying activities in relevant platforms have to be properly done. This is very important for Turkey. Well, in fact, it is to an extent a protective method. However, still, we have to work on it. And I'm thinking parallel to what you said, and our association in this regard is trying to encourage the universities working on composite and would like to make them member of the association. And in our executive board, Professor Selim Küsenoğlu is also a member of our executive board, and they're going to make a presentation about composites on the 3rd day. So the relevant actors, Pauline, for instance, is with us today, is getting patents for its products in order to protect it worldwide. And the producers are all aware of this situation. However, the SMEs also have to be given this kind of a support by our association. Thank you very much for your question.
Sayın
Yes, please.
Metin Başbudak.
I'm Metin Başbudak.
Ben tam dikkat edemedim.
I didn't really catch a certain point. You mentioned many branches of industry. Was kitchen part of this? Because kitchen, in terms of SMC PMC, is playing an important role for us. And one little point I'd like to draw your attention to. Turkey, in the SMC tray, is the world leader.
Dünyada
So worldwide,
SMC tepsiler üzerine bir kalite yoktur.
well,
Çok teşekkür
Turkish
ederim.
SMC trays
Metin Bey
are best
zaten,
quality. There is no better
yarın
quality. Thank you very much. Metin Bey is going to
yarındı değil mi?
talk about that
Bugün,
tomorrow
evet, bugün
or
öğleden
today
sonra
maybe.
sunusunda,
Today, this afternoon.
SMC BMC'nin
He will make a
sorunlarını
presentation
da
about
kendisiyle
that, and he will talk
tartışacağız.
about the
Doğru
problems
söylüyorsunuz.
of
Mutfak
SMC
önemli bir
BMC.
SMC
You're right.
uygulamasıdır.
Kitchen is an important
Aynı
SMC
zamanda,
practice.
Türkiye'deki bu tepsi sektöründeki
Also, the
gelişimde
tray
tabii,
industry in Turkey has
son derece
developed,
imrendirici ve güzel.
and it
SMC
makes
BMC'de
others
de
envious, and it's
Türkiye'de
really
faaliyet gösteren,
good.
genellikle
In
otomotiv
SMC
olmakla
BMC,
birlikte ama özellikle de
especially
hocamın belirttiği,
automotive
bu
companies
noktalarda da
that are operating in Turkey have their productions, and
sunuları arasında olduğu için ben
this
çok
is part
değinmedim
of
ama,
the
dedi işaretiniz de oldu.
papers that is going to be
Başka
presented
soru var
today,
mı?
which is why I didn't want to cover this subject, but you're right.